We keep telling you about all these devices that were found in New York and New Jersey, some a little more sophisticated than a pressure cooker. Obviously, I'm trivializing it, but to make the point, the kind of stuff any one of us could do at home. And that is what worries my next guest, a former Marine bomb expert and tech, Johnny Jones. Johnny, good to have you.
Good afternoon, Neil.
What do you make of certainly the weapons that were used here and how sophisticated they were? I guess if they explode and you're in the wrong place at the wrong time, they're very effective.
Sure. You know, to put this into perspective, we've been dealing with IEDs or improvised explosive devices, you know, since the IRA in the 1960s. And that's really where we cut our teeth and learn from the Brits and what they had to deal with. And what this means is that you take items from your home or from a Walmart that can make a bell ring or a light come on and use that to employ an explosive. So you have two major types of knowledge here. You have electronic engineering, which is what you see in a flashlight, and then you have chemistry, which is what you see in your high school science lab. So when you put those two things together, you can create a bomb. And to put it in an even greater perspective on efficiency, Timothy McVeigh, the bomb he employed, about 20% of that was actually effective. So think if 100% of it were. And so you can do a lot of damage with these homemade explosives and employment. Thankfully, we're so sophisticated now, we can find these things, and we do have ways to prevent them.
Sometimes we find them by luck, though, right, Johnny? I mean, I know if this is so close to mimicking what the Tsarnaev brothers used in Boston, and
yes,
we've seen similar type, you know, pressure cooker, explosive devices used, other bad guys are going to get ideas, right?
Well, absolutely. And one thing everyone needs to understand, this information is out there, it's on the internet, and you know that if this person was in contact with anyone overseas involved in war and terror, they're definitely getting effective information. And really what we come down to is if you've ever played the game Mousetrap, the simpler the component, the simpler it is, the more effective it is, the harder it is to find, the harder it is to defeat. And what I mean by that is the less components, if you're not using radio control or anything like that, you can literally just set up a timer like a washing machine timer in a simple loop circuit and make a bomb go off, but then you don't have as much control of it. The early reports right now is that he used radio control, some type of signal. Well, that's something we can effectively combat against. Much harder here than in war because we all use radio remotes and controllers all the time, but it is something we can combat against. I think what's most effective here, and we've heard it all morning long, is if you see something, say something. And then the human intelligence, gathering intelligence on people that were, say, in Afghanistan a year ago and may have a reason to do something like this. There is no such thing as a complete lone wolf, someone who just woke up tomorrow morning and decided to blow up a corner. They were inspired by something. So can we learn what's inspiring people and who's being inspired? We can do a lot to combat this. Unfortunately, like we say in Afghanistan and Iraq, if someone's hell-bent and willing to put their own life on the line to hurt people, sometimes there's not much you can do, at which point we have to make sure we find these people and bring them to justice.
Yeah, I hear you. By the way, these pictures we show you, those are not accomplices of Ahmad Khan Rahami. These are all images, the last we had, or that we thought were and are of Rahami. So this is all the same person. But it does beg a question I wanted to raise with you, Johnny, whether he had to have had help in getting the devices to their locales or detonating them.
Well, this is very interesting because the earliest reports I've heard, and this could be dated information at this point, quite honestly, because they haven't released all the information,
right,
is that these were probably detonated via cell phone. So in which case, if it was a cell phone, then no, he didn't have to be there within line of sight. Most of the radio-controlled IEDs we found in Afghanistan and Iraq were line of sight, which means you have to be able to see it through the air in order to send the signal. That's more effective. The cell phones are less effective. More things can go wrong. But if he properly employed cell phones, then yes, he could have called them up from anywhere and detonated them. So it'll be interesting to get more information and to understand if he used technology that's a little bit even more sophisticated than what we've seen in the last 5 or 10 years in Afghanistan. But ultimately, no, he didn't have to have help. If he's in contact with a bomb maker anywhere in the world, really, he could have done this at home. It's going to be interesting. He's got to have a lab. He's obviously had some trial and error here on triggering this. So you don't just put one of these together and it works all of a sudden. It takes a little bit of trial and error, and so it will be interesting to get more information as to how he employed these bombs, if he had help. He didn't have to. He probably did, I would assume, because of the amount of bombs he employed, unless he's just, you know, the bad thing here is he could have been working on this for months, if not years. And if we had an idea that he was communicating with someone traveling to Afghanistan and why we haven't searched his home more or done more, it'll be interesting to see.
Yeah, maybe we're doing that just now.